Five, four, three, two, one. Woohoo! Happy New Year, everybody! It is January 1st. It is New Year's Day, and I'm Chris Igoe. Today's live stream is going to be about it started. Banks are taking houses, and something caught my attention yesterday. I'm always looking for different content, different information, consuming as much data as I possibly can. I want to be in the know. I want to ensure that I have my finger on the pulse of what might be happening in my local housing market, but elsewhere or also everywhere else in the state. And so a video came up, which went viral, similarly titled to mine. And what really kind of surprised me is that 4 or 5 other creators made this exact same titled video. And so it made me question, is this true or not? Are banks taking homes? And I can answer that question very quickly right now. Yes, of course they are. If you default on a debt, then whomever it is, the debt holder is, they are going to repossess your car. They will foreclose on your house. They will repossess your watch. They will take whatever it is that they must take of value if you default on your payment. Now, that is just the way it goes, right? So I hope that doesn't come as a surprise to anybody. But I wanted to share a little bit of this video and then get into more macro data, right? Because do the numbers support what these claims are? So we're going to do a deep dive throughout the state of Florida. We're going to talk about Tampa, St. Pete metros, Northport, Sarasota, Bradenton metro, Port St. Lucie metro, Kissimmee, Orlando, Sanford, Cape Coral, Fort Myers, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Palm Beach. And then from there, and of course, those are the metros, not all of the metros in Florida, but many of the metros in Florida, because I want to see, is there a massive uptick in distressed sales? Is there a big uptick in foreclosures? Is there a big uptick in short sales? I can tell you, well, again, this is kind of anecdotal, but in my own business, I speak to people all the time in my market, and this is considered to be an affluent market. Lots of people that I speak to who said they would never in a million years sell their home because they're in a 3, 4, 5% mortgage interest rate, whatever it might be. They would never in a million years sell. They are thrilled with what the house price. They are thrilled with their mortgage interest rate. They are thrilled with the fact that there is appreciation in the home. And yet their income simply has not kept pace with inflation. And inflation is squeezing the life out of lots of people. And financial pain will create havoc in anyone's lives. It will turn those people who said they would never in a million years sell, they will come to Jesus and eventually sell if they must. And that's not what I'm hoping for, but I see it here all the time. There are lots of people, and when I say all the time, I say that with speaking with a broad brush here. I don't hear it all the time, but I hear it at least once a week. Someone will tell me that they're living above their means, not in these words, but they're living above their means, and they're probably maxed out on credit card debt. They're trying to keep up with the Joneses. They've got all the toys that you could possibly want to have, and that's just not sustainable, especially in today's environment. So also, I meant to, this was originally scheduled for 7 p.m. Had to do it a little bit earlier. So thank you guys for jumping on. I did not intend to do it early, but truthfully, I pulled an all-nighter last night. I am completely fried. So if I seem a little bit low energy or hoarse, it's because I'm getting a little bit sick, but I am 100% committed to ensuring you know the truth, you know the data, as to what's happening in real time. And we've got real time numbers for December. So we're going to go through with that right now. But before we get into it, I want to share this video, which is the thing that got me going. And shout out to our good friend, Michael Bordenero. I know lots of you guys watch him. In the past, I have been quite critical of him and some of the other Crash Bros. That's not what this is. I actually am going to take what he says and then we're going to do some research. We're going to do some investigation. We're going to see if the numbers support what he claims. And again, keep in mind that if you default on a payment long enough, whomever it is that you owe that payment to is going to take the thing that you have purchased from them or financed from them. Whether it's a house, a car, a plane, a boat, a Batmobile, doesn't matter. If you can't make the payment, they will come take the item. But here we go.
One thing you might have noticed is that banks are starting to take back properties at an alarming rate. And this is due to a lot of different things that are coming together in our economy right now.
Well, I'm going to cut him off right there because I am not interested in his macroeconomic or microeconomic opinion. But I do want to test that theory because as a real estate investor, I know that many times the distressed homes that don't ever hit the market do hit the courthouse steps. But before I go into that next part of this, because I want to be transparent, I want to show you everything that there is to see. I want to first explore, let's see what the distressed market looks like in Florida. Now, for this next screen share, let's see here. I have a new system and hopefully this will work. Okay. Let's see if it works. What's up, Silvio? Happy New Year, buddy. Hope you and your family are doing phenomenal. Okay, so the data that I'm looking at right now is a month old. Housing market data, typically when distributed by the Realtor Association, is going to be lagging. It's going to be a month old. So we're in January, we're looking at November. These are the most recent numbers as per the Florida Realtor Association. So keep all that in mind. But it is instructive. I want to see what the distressed sale numbers are as it relates to the state of Florida. We're then going to drill into some of these metros, and I can't get granular and hyper local in real time in some markets in Florida. I do get requests from some of you who want different cities on the West Coast or in Destin, for example. I don't have access to that real-time information. I do have that in my market. I do have it in Dade, Broward, Palm Beach County, and Martin County, St. Lucie County, but I don't have it on the West Coast. But that being said, I do have it from a more macro picture. So not real-time information. I got delayed information. But let's start here and let's see what the numbers reveal, because maybe Michael's right. Maybe there is a massive uptick in distressed sales. And I'm not, so November 2024, single family homes in the state of Florida. You can see all of the metrics here. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on them because they're old, they're lagging, they're irrelevant. But closed sales down 3%, average sales price up 3.4%, month supply of inventory up almost 30%, 27% uptick in active listings, inventory sitting on the market unsold. So those are some big jumps, right? But again, they're old. I suspect they're going to get worse. Supply and demand will always dictate price. And I think you'll notice a trend that there is a lot of inventory hitting the market, lots of homes sitting on the market unsold, but that is going to be the topic of a different conversation, or at least we'll save that to the real-time information in my markets. Let's look at the distressed market and hopefully, let's see here. Okay, cool. You can see that I've been playing around with the StreamYard system, and I think I finally got it to a point where I like it a little bit better. But all right, so what you see on the screen right here is Foreclosures and real estate owned. Percent change year over year, 12% increase in foreclosure sales. And 12% is a big double-digit jump, but it's negligible, right? 121 foreclosures is not exactly jaw-dropping. It's not exactly bar the door Sally. It's not exactly my cat's on fire. It's not exactly the end of the world. But those numbers can uptick. And I suspect that when we get granular and go into, I can't do it in every metro. I won't do it in every metro. This would be a 40-hour video. But what I will do is go to the Palm Beach courthouse and I will show you exactly how many foreclosure sales there are just in January, because none of them are accounted for in this list. I can tell you right now, because I've already looked at it, there are more than 121. Well, that's not true. There haven't been that many foreclosure sales, but when you see the amount of foreclosure properties that are up for auction, you might leave a brown stain in the mattress. And I say that because when the market crashed last time, because of the foreclosure crisis, it only took 10% of the overall market to be in financial distress to bring down the market nationally by 30%. And that was the national average. There were other markets that were hit much, much harder than that. But it doesn't take very much, 10% of the market being in distress, meaning we've got homeowners that refuse to pay their bill, refuse to pay their mortgage for a period of time. They go bankrupt, they get foreclosed on, their credit gets destroyed, they go through a financial crisis of epic proportions, which I'm not wishing on anybody, but it only takes 10% of the market to bring down the market massively. And I suspect there are lots of economic issues that still haven't been resolved that must be resolved, because there is an everything bubble that continues to inflate. And I don't see any signs of that stopping anytime soon. But we do have a new administration coming in here soon. Hopefully there will be more productivity and more free market capitalism. I hope that we'll start to see a lot more economic growth, but hope is not a balance sheet item. And right now, I just want to talk about the distressed sales in the state of Florida. But as you can see, 121 in November of 24, 16 short sales in totality in the state of Florida for November of 2024. Again, we're in January. These numbers are old. It's old, not to be confused with it's sold, which it will. If you hire me, we will find the one buyer on planet Earth willing to pay more than anybody else for your home by setting a market within a market if you must sell. Okay, so that was Tampa. I take that back. That was the state of Florida. Now let's go to the metro of Tampa, St. Pete, and Clearwater. And I picked out these particular metros because in the comment section, I often get people asking for these particular markets. So again, not going to spend a whole lot of time on outdated information, but you can notice that the median sales price down 1%, average sales price down 3.3%. Uptick in active listings, inventory, 27%. 11,500 homes sitting on the market unsold. Month supply of inventory is still 3.6 months, or not still, has upticked to 3.6 months, which is a seller's market, but that's a jump of 33.3%. Big jump. Got to watch these trends. It's also talking about November. December will be different. January will be too. And a lot of people talk about the seasonal effect that happens in the real estate market. And I can't speak for what it's like over on the opposite coast. I can tell you that seasonality doesn't really play much into my market because people are always buying homes when the seasonal or when the snowbirds are here. They are typically looking to purchase their next home or their next getting out of their seasonal rental purchasing a second home. So people are always shopping in Florida. And I think it's a state that is far more insulated by or from the seasonal effects of winter than many other places. But on that same note, Tampa's a lot colder than it is here in South Florida, but it is what it is. We want to see what the distressed market looks like. And in Tampa, St. Pete, Clearwater, Metro, November 2024, there were 11 foreclosures, which was down 21%. There were 4 short sales, which was up 100%. Again, these are not big numbers. And yes, they could be much bigger. And yes, at some point, if the financial pain of recession or of inflation or of job loss or of bankruptcy and credit card debt and foreclosure and a million other bad things that could possibly happen, yeah, people are going to get squeezed when those bad things happen. If there is a systemic break and a black swan event, which should happen at some point, you can't predict when it's going to, but there certainly are many indicators that would tell me that we're due for something to break within the system. When that happens, there's going to be hell to pay. And right now, most folks are just completely buried in credit card debt. So these numbers will not stay the same, but you're going to be shocked when you see what the actual numbers are, at least in Palm Beach County. Because when we go to Palm Beach County and we look at what the foreclosures and short sales are, there will be a massive disparity between the numbers that you see on the screen and the numbers on the auction site at the courthouse. Okay, so that's Tampa, St. Pete. Let's go to Northport, Sarasota, Bradenton. And we're talking about the Metro. I think I got chastised a few times by saying Bradenton wrong. I don't know if I'm saying it right now, but whatever. Let's look at the numbers real quick. Median sales price down 9.1%, average sales price down almost 3%, and month supply of inventory up 18%. Inventory sitting on the market unsold, is up 18%. These are not necessarily the most bullish numbers if you're thinking about selling, but these numbers are fairly consistent across the state, and we will work through these metros, and you will see that for yourself. But we're not interested in that. What we want to see is the distressed market, and there really isn't one. Foreclosures, there were 5. That's a 25% jump from 4. 25% is big. Change of 1 is not. Closed sales as far as short sales are concerned, 1 versus 0. Okay. Distress sales in this metro are pretty much a non-event if you believe these numbers are accurate. And I suspect if you go to the auction, the court auction, you will find the county clerk, there is going to be a foreclosure auction, which is public record, and you'll very likely find that there are way more homes that are in foreclosure in the process of being auctioned. And I had this happen recently where I found a foreclosure home up for auction in my neighborhood, and this property was a slam dunk layup. I was looking for something else for somebody else, but when I saw this home and I saw the price, I realized that I would immediately buy 5 of them if I could. And so I went through the process, registered to purchase the property. You got to go through a whole online portal thing. Everything is done electronically. It's not like the good old days where you would go there and there would be an in-person auction. All of this is automated. All of this is electronic. You don't really get to see anything transparently. So I suspect there are lots of games that can be played on the back end. But this home was set for auction at a price that was so insanely attractive that I knew that I could very easily, with a very little cash infusion into the home to slap some lipstick on it, I could probably double or triple my money within, I don't know, a couple weeks, a month tops. I mean, it was that much of a home run. However, when it came time for the auction, um, number one, obviously I didn't win the bid, but I was so furious because there was absolutely zero clarity, zero transparency. I had no idea what was going on. I have no idea whether my bid actually was submitted. I have no idea. I have no real way of knowing whether any of this was on the up and up. But later, a few months later, when I did some research, I did find that many of the institutional buyers that I just did a video yesterday talking about, some of them who are pulling out of different markets. Well, that may be true, but I can tell you they are stalking the auction sites for these foreclosure homes in some markets. And you will be absolutely blown away if you do the research and see how many of these institutional buyers are gobbling up homes here in Palm Beach County. Now, are they doing it with the same velocity that they were in the past? Probably not. And again, this is a very small sample size. This was me doing a little bit of due diligence and happened to find a home run deal. It's not like I'm studying this on a day-to-day basis, but I was pretty shocked by how many of the buyers who were there in the auction, how many of them were institutional buyers. And my suspicion is, and again, no way of knowing this, can't verify it allegedly, but I suspect there's very likely some type of sweetheart deal that's going on behind the scenes that I can't prove and don't know for sure. But it seems like the average mom and pop, the average investor, somebody like me and you, are not very likely going to win any of these auctions, which is unfortunate. It is regrettable. It's not like the good old days where you could go there and see what's actually happening. I think there's some sort of sweetheart deal that goes on behind the scene with the court, with the municipality, with these bigger hedge funds or institutions, because not that nobody wins, that would be a lie, but the small investor, I suspect, is at a strategic disadvantage when it comes to trying to win the bid at some of these auctions. But that's enough of that for me. All right, so that was Northport, Sarasota, Bradenton. Let's move it on over. And actually, let me check and see if there's any. All right, we got some comments here. Winnie the Pooh and Eeyore 2. Happy New Year, Chris. Happy New Year to you, Winnie the Pooh and Eeyore 2. And you too, Linda Ellis. Hello from Colorado. Happy New Year. Woo-hoo-hoo. Happy New Year, everybody. 2025, I suspect, is going to be our best year yet. So cheers to you. And I'm drinking out of my daughter's. Oh, this is not a Stanley. This is a Owala. And I don't know much about cups these days, but evidently Owala is like the new thing, and Stanley is out. But these things are not inexpensive. And if you don't make your payment on your Owala, then I can assure you the bank will take your Owala, just like they'll take your house if you don't make your mortgage payment. But a little bit of coffee. Here we go. All right. What's up, Ragman? Where am I? I have no idea, and I am delirious from having pulled an all-nighter. Okay, here we go. I am in Port St. Lucie Metro, and we're talking about St. Lucie and Martin County. The blue spot on the map indicates where that is. That is just north of me. In fact, I was up there a week ago, 2 weeks ago, speaking to a potential seller who found me on YouTube, wanted to hire me to help him find the one buyer on planet Earth willing to pay more than anybody else. And very nice guy. So, and I know he watches the channel, so shout out to you. I will not put you on blast, but I suspect that he is going to be in for a rude awakening, because I have found that if you have an outlier home and you have the biggest or most unique home in a subdivision and there are no comps for it, there's really nothing remotely similar to it. Well, chances are, if you do not price that aggressively and market it aggressively, then you're probably not going to sell the home. But he interviewed lots of other agents who told him lots of higher numbers, probably told him what he wanted to hear, as opposed to me, who told him the truth. And I suspect that, well, I wish him well, but I suspect he's going to have a rough go of it. Nonetheless, back to business here. Port St. Lucie, let's see here. Closed sales down 13%. Average sales price down 9%. Median sales price down 1.2%. New listings up 12%. Active listings, inventory, home sitting on the market unsold, just like his was, up 37.5%. And the month supply of inventory up almost 50%, 46 to be exact, 5.1 months. So we're noticing a trend, more inventory, more homes sitting on the market, more competition if you're thinking about selling, some volatility in pricing. Again, don't trust any of this because this is November. When we get into my market, we'll know what the real-time numbers are, and I'll get more granular. But let's look at the distressed market, right? And what do we see? Foreclosures, 0. Short sales, 0. All right. Does not appear to be any type of distress sale or financial pain being felt by homeowners in St. Lucie or Martin County, as per the November report. I wonder if the courthouse says the same thing. I doubt it, but we will move it on and keep on trucking. Orlando, Kissimmee, Sanford, Metro. What do we see here? We're talking about Central Florida. We're talking about Disney. We're talking about tourism. We're talking about all the good things that are up there. If you like Disney, and if you don't like Disney, well, then you probably feel very differently. Nonetheless, median sales price up 2.2%. Average sales price up 1%. Active listings sitting on the market unsold, up 33%, 9,000 and change versus 7,000, and month supply of inventory, big jump of 40%. Again, dated information. December will be different, and you can wait till the end of January to hear what they have to say about that. Unless you want me to connect you with someone in any of these markets who I know has access to real-time data, and we'll get you plugged in so you know exactly what's going on. But short sales, distress sales, foreclosures, what do we see? 10 in November of 24, 2 short sales in November of 24, a downtick of 37.5% on the foreclosure REO side and down 33.3% on the short sale side. So evidently, things are doing much better financially for most folks up there in that market. So good for them. Congratulations. Nothing to fear, nothing to worry about. Inflation is not a thing, and everybody is feeling bullish and robust about their job opportunities, their income, and the economy moving forward. All right, let's move it on over to Cape Coral, Fort Myers Metro. And Cape Coral should be quite interesting, but let's see what the numbers say. Median sales price down 4%. Average sales price up 5.5. Again, this is dated information. New listings up 23%. Homes sitting on the market unsold up 27.2%. Month supply of inventory 7 months. We are in a buyer's market. 27.3% uptick in terms of month supply of inventory as of November. Again, we're in January. But what do we see as far as the distressed market goes? Because if you are in distress, chances are banks are going to come and take your house, right? Well, that is correct, but doesn't appear to be too big of a number. 6 foreclosures in November, 0 short sales. And so far, I don't see anything that is particularly eyebrow raising as it relates to the distressed market within Florida. If I was to take the trending video with the title that I stole, the one that I'm using right now, I would tell you banks aren't taking out, or are absolutely not taking out anybody's, or not taking back anybody's homes. It has not begun. The numbers don't indicate that, because so far they don't. But wait, there's more, because I think the auction site's going to tell you a lot more information. But I could be wrong. I don't know. We shall see. My goal is to be totally transparent so that you've got all the best information to make the best decisions for yourself, for your family, and for your financial bottom line. Okay, now we are in my market, and you can see we're talking about Palm Beach County, Broward County, Miami-Dade County, which is indicated by this blue section of the map. This is Southeast Florida. This is my wheelhouse. And also, I can tell you that these numbers, I say this all the time when I do these deep dives, this is the metro, this is the macro number. When you drill down into the markets that you're actually interested in buying or selling, these numbers are going to change radically. They will change exponentially. And that's just the way it goes. Each and every market will trade with a totally different intensity of supply and demand, period. And the market's always right. So let's see here. What do we've got? November 24. Again, this is old. Uptick of 3.3% in terms of median sales price, 10.4% jump in average sales price. The average sales price in this metro is just under $1 million. It is pricey to live here. And one thing I do want to mention, because I talked about the home builders yesterday, there is almost no more land to develop in this blue area here. And I know there is a little bit more in Broward. I know there is, actually, I can't speak with total accuracy as to what the land available for residential development is in Miami-Dade. I'm just not that close to the market, but I can tell you that in Palm Beach County, there's none, period. I believe there's 2.2 square miles that are not obviously parceled together. They're slivered and split up and very suboptimal. They're all over the place, and you couldn't build anything on them if you wanted to, but there is legitimately no land. So what we're seeing, and what terrifies me, is that much of the western parts of Delray, of Boynton, of Boca Raton, of Wellington, and some of these other areas, Lake Worth, there's all types of land which was zoned either agricultural or preserve or some other zoning. And I think it was, this is just during Christmas break, took my kids ice skating and went down a road that I don't normally go to take them to the ice skating rink. And I couldn't believe it, because the end of Lake Worth Road, which used to be essentially desolate and barren, is completely developed. There were at least 5 new developments that were being built, and all types of retail being built. And I guess that's good in one sense, because it will at some point feel much more homogeneous and much more similar to the affluent places in Delray or in Boca Raton. But at what price, right? And what is that doing to the wildlife here? What is that doing to the ecosystem here? There is no more land to develop. And so if at any point they start going or talking about doing anything with the Everglades, well, then Florida is in real big trouble. And I will not stay here for that. But where I live now, all of this was undeveloped 15 years ago, 20 years ago, and now it's completely almost built up to capacity. A lot of fun, lots of great things. I love living here, but it is definitely not what it used to be. And now more people are starting to push up into these northern areas. They're moving up into the Port St. Lucie, Martin County area, and other spots within Florida, because it is a little bit more affordable. You can get a little bit more land. And as I mentioned in that last video from yesterday, there are many builders offering significant incentives in some of these other markets. And while there are some incentives in my market, they're nothing like anything I talked about yesterday. All right, so where are we at here? We talked about median sales price, average sales price, uptick, a month supply of inventory to 5.2 months, 34% jump or 33.3% jump, and 29% increase in homes sitting on the market unsold. That's not what we're here for. We're here to know about the distressed market, the foreclosure market, the market which is very likely to be taken back from the bank, as per many people. And what do we see? 23, and I think this is the biggest number that we've seen so far, 23 foreclosures in November of 24. Again, lagging, and we're going to check these numbers out here shortly with the auction site, and we'll run the numbers ourselves, see what the delta is between what they say and what the auction says. But I suspect it will blow your mind. But an uptick of 35% in terms of foreclosures. Short sales up 67%, 3 to 5 in terms of short sales. Again, these are not big numbers yet. They will not rock the boat yet. But at some point, when the financial pain becomes sufficient enough for people to have to make hard choices, I suspect it's not going to take too much. I really don't. It's not going to take much for people to get squeezed financially from where they're at right now. I don't know what the thing might be, and I hope it's not a black swan event. I certainly hope it isn't. I mean, God knows what's happening with these drones and all these different threats of war, but it would not take much to throw the entire system into disarray. And the banking system, which to me is so at risk right now. I'll do a video about that at some point here in the future. I've done a few in the past, but the risk, well, banks have made a fortune off the interest rates that they're charging people on their credit card debt, but they have so much exposure to the commercial real estate apocalypse that is happening, that I do think there's going to be significant stress within the banking system. We saw some banks fail over the last few years, but it would not shock me if we see some serious systemic risk that plays itself out here in the near future. And that's got, it doesn't matter who's president at that point. Well, that's not true, because that's not true. It absolutely makes a difference who's president at that point, but it's already cooked. It's already baked in the cake, right? These things that have happened have been going on for decades. And so it's not, anybody in particular's fault, although there are lots of people who are at fault. But hopefully we've got a strong leadership team to get us unfucked when that happens, and we will need that. But I digress. All right. So all of the information I've shared so far is all lagging. It is all very, very late, but it gives you an idea as to what the distressed market is for homes in the state of Florida. Now, let me look at let's see here. Ooh, we got lots of comments. Based on the numbers, I looked at a few months ago. Foreclosures are still insignificant. Riddler, yes, you're right. And if we looked at the number, well, if you just looked at the numbers with me, right? Those numbers do not seem to be like they are a big deal. Let's look at the county auction site. MAGA year started with a bang. That is true. Unless something changes drastically in terms of housing interest rates, supply or demand, it looks like housing will increase historically value within the 2 to 4% annual range. Yep, I suspect within my market, I would call, if I had to make a prediction, if somebody had a gun to my head right now and asked me to predict what I think the appreciation will be over the course of the next year or two, I would tell you it would probably be mid-single digit growth. But the reality is Palm Beach County is in such demand. from affluent relocation buyers that I'm starting to look at certain areas within my market more like Manhattan used to be priced. And no, I'm not trying to say that South Florida is anything like Manhattan, although many people would say that it is one of the boroughs of New York. The reality of it is the scarcity of land here is just what it is, right? You can't make more land. And the demand for people to live here in these new affluent resort style communities is very, very high. Now, they are more prudent shoppers, they are more discerning shoppers, but there is an influx of affluence and wealthy people that are coming into Palm Beach County, that are coming into Fort Lauderdale, that are coming into Miami, which I think will very likely change and reprice real estate here essentially forever. And Michael Saylor, who is the one of the big Bitcoin investors, made a really good analogy, which I'll share here at the end. But I don't suspect that, well, first and foremost, when the system breaks, when there's a black swan event, when the everything bubble collapses, please know everyone's going to feel that pain. Everyone is going to be impacted negatively by that. Some folks will be more insulated than others. Some markets will be more insulated than others. And the reality is, even if you bought a house at an all-time high today and the market went to zero tomorrow, at some point in the future, and based on population of the country and the lack of supply of housing and the demand to be here, I would tell you that within 10 to 15 years, that whatever you bought at an all-time high, which went to zero, will eventually trade at a significantly higher all-time high. And I don't see that changing anytime soon. And that also does not apply to all of Florida. I think that applies to certain hyper-local markets that are in Palm Beach and Broward County. But it is what it is, and that's my opinion. You are certainly willing to disagree. All right, so I see you're a stockbroker. I can see that. Yeah, I was a stockbroker back in the day. And all right, let's demystify and let's see if Michael Bordenero was right. Because, and truthfully, I didn't watch his entire video. There were also like 4 or 5 other creators that have similar videos with almost the exact same title. I didn't watch any of those either. I just wanted to hear that first sentence because I then wanted to test and see, is it true, right? So far, based on what we've seen, there is no foreclosure, no short sale, no distressed sale crisis happening in Florida, period. You just saw the numbers. They are lagging. They are from November, but let's just pretend that they're accurate and current. I think we can all agree that right now there is no distressed fire sale situation happening within the Florida housing market, right? Okay, good. I'm glad we all agree. Let's see what the auction says. Foreclosure sales are conducted online. And I'm in Palm Beach County, so I went to the mypalmbeachclerk.com website. It is the clerk of the Circuit County Court. And you can very likely find this for, you can find your clerk of the court site for wherever it is that you live. When you get there, when you find it, Google it. You will find something similar to what I'm looking at right now. And when you get there, you will very likely find a link which will take you to the foreclosure sales that are being conducted online. Let's go to the online auction site. And I'm not going to start here. And no, I'm not going to register. I've done that before and it was a complete waste of my time. But what I want to see, just to demonstrate that there's very likely a much bigger supply of homes that are in foreclosure up for auction. So let's see if that's true. And what you can see is that today it's January 1st, 2025, county holiday. But on the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 27th, 28th, 29th, and 30th, the entire month is booked with auctions. Interesting. How many? Well, a lot. And what you can see here, so property address, I know that neighborhood, I know that street, I don't know that homeowner, but foreclosure, final judgment, $58,000. Case number 2, Lake Worth. I'm not going to read these all, you can read them yourself, but what you'll see is that there are a tremendous amount of homes that are up for auction. And you'll also find, if you go through the exercise, that the bidding on these is, well, one, it's not transparent. So good luck if you do try to win the bid. I was extremely frustrated and disappointed by the process. But you can see there's a metric shit ton of homes that are actually in foreclosure. And these numbers are not reflected in anything that we just saw. So that tells me that the viral video, the trend, is actually correct. And most realtors who do not practice their own real estate business, I said that wrong. Most real estate agents aren't real estate investors. Some are, not all, but most agents, if you ask them about the foreclosure market or the distressed sales market or what's really happening in terms of the distressed market in Florida, they will tell you there are no distressed sales. Well, I can and did just prove that's not true. So there is a robust market for foreclosure properties. I'm now on page 2, and we just got more and more and more and more. And again, to be clear, this is all for the 6th, right? So let's go back to, let's go to the next auction, which is on Tuesday, January 7th. And what do you see? A metric shit ton of more foreclosures in Boca Raton, in Boynton Beach, in Lake Worth, in Delray. Where else? In Wellington, in West Palm, in Palm Beach Gardens. Lots of foreclosures up for auction. And there's 3 pages full on Tuesday, January the 7th. So what does that tell me? Tells me there is a tremendous amount of financial pain that's out there in the market, which confirms the anecdotal story that I shared earlier, which is there are lots of people out there who swore they would never sell, that swore they would never in a million years give up their 2 or 3% mortgage because it didn't make sense to. But when you are buried in debt, when your car payment and your credit card payments are burying you and the interest rate is destroying you and you are just compounding interest onto your debt and just dismantling yourself financially, at some point there comes a moment where you have to make a decision. Are you going to feed your family? Are you going to pay for your car? Are you going to sell your house? And I don't want anybody to be in that position, but there are lots of people in my market that may have high incomes, right? They may be, you could have 2 people in the same house they could both make $500,000, which means you've got a combined income of $1 million. However, if you make $1 million and you spend $1.1 million, well, you're not wealthy. You're 100 grand in the hole and you're fake rich. There are lots of people in my market, and not just my market, all over the place, that live that way. And that is not sustainable. And maybe they could get away with it for a while. And maybe the economy and all the stimulating things that have been done to kick the can down the road allowed for that to happen for a long time. But when the music stops and you don't have a seat or a house, well, then you're fucked. And I suspect there's going to be a lot of people who are in real financial trouble that are going to be forced to sell. So the advice I give everyone, get very granular, get very honest with yourself, understand what your financial situation is. This is not a sales pitch for me to make you do anything, right? But I saw a comment on the last video I did where someone accused me of trying to get them to, I think the comment was, I'm a spokesperson for the builder and I'm trying to get him to buy a new construction home, which tells me he's either deaf or watched the video with no audio on, or perhaps he's just mentally challenged. I don't know. Nonetheless, where was I going with that? I completely lost my train of thought. I am completely spaced right now. Time for some more coffee. This is what happens when you pull an all-nighter. I'm checking the comment section. I hope somebody's keeping me honest here. Bum, 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 bum. Frank R. Is that you, Frank Russo? I hope it is. Bum, 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 bum. Oh, that's where I was going with this. I lost my train of thought there for a second. So I'm not telling you this information to try to get you to do anything that isn't what's right for you. But I speak to people on a regular basis who, I talked about this earlier, where they're telling me they're feeling financial pain. They're telling me that they are living above their means. They're telling me that, not in these words, but they're telling me that they're drowning in debt. And I'm never going to tell anybody to do anything. I'm never going to tell you to buy. I will never apply sales pressure to anybody, ever. I don't allow it in my real estate team. It's the one thing that is the kiss of death. I will never in a million years try to get anybody to do anything other than what's right for them. But with all the things that are happening right now, I implore everybody to get granular with your finances. Understand where you're at from a financial position. Understand what your debts are. Understand what your income is. Understand what your job security is. Understand what your investments are. Understand the entire financial picture. Know your numbers cold so that you can make prudent financial decisions, because the last thing that you want to be is stuck like Chuck when you realize that, okay, I've been living on the hog here for a while. I've been playing the game, keeping up with the Joneses for a while. It's been a tremendous amount of fun playing this game for a while, but I see the writing on the wall and I think I'm in trouble, so I'm going to sell my house now. Well, most people are going to come to that reality at the same time. And when that happens, well, then you really are kind of fucked, because at that point, everybody hits the market at the same time. It becomes a catch a falling knife game. And yes, there are strategies to create a market within a market, no matter what the market conditions are. But if you're trying to sell your house, and so is everybody else in your neighborhood, it's kind of hard to do that. And it's kind of hard to create leverage the right way to find the one buyer on planet Earth willing to pay more than anybody else. So you want to be in front of that if you think you are at risk. And if that's ever anything you want to talk about, I'm happy to discuss that with you or connect you with someone who can advise you professionally if I am not qualified to do that. But whether it be an accountant, tax planner, financial advisor, whatever it might be, make sure you understand and have a roadmap to where you want to go. Because if you're flying blind in 2025 with all the volatility that's out there and all the economic risk that's already baked into the cake, well, I don't want that for anybody. So make sure you know what's going on. And then similar to that, and this is the comment that I got spaced on, I will never in a million years ever try to get somebody to buy anything they don't want to buy, right? So I read the comments. Actually, I've stopped reading the comments for a long time now. But for a long time, all I would ever hear is that you're just trying to get me to buy a house. Actually, that's the furthest thing from my mind that I'm going to do. When I meet with anybody, the first thing that we do when we do our onboarding consultation is I ask them many, many questions. I want to understand exactly what it is, obviously, that they're looking for in a home, in a lifestyle, but I'm going to ask them lots of questions about their financial situation. I'm going to ask them lots of questions about how much money they can afford to spend. My lender, my mortgage broker, my team is going to do an exhaustive deep dive and an underwriting up front to ensure that they know with total clarity what the financial ramifications are for the investment, for the home that they're purchasing. So there's absolutely zero chance that when we've done that, I'm ever going to talk anybody into doing anything other than what's right for them. Instead, what often happens is I'll meet with somebody, they'll tell me whatever they tell me, and then midway through the process, they decide they want to do something different than that, more expensive than that, more significantly differently financially than what they originally told me. And every single time that that's ever happened, I've told them, hey, wait a second, just let's regroup here. You do realize that when we first met, you said you wanted this, and now you're saying you want that. And of course, I have a relationship with these people. If they're wealthy and can stroke a check for whatever they want, well, then I probably don't have that conversation. But when I'm dealing with somebody who I know is working with a budget or on the fringe of affordability, I'm never going to push anybody into doing anything ever. I will talk them out of doing it because the last thing I ever want is for somebody to have buyer's remorse. All right. So Marvin Charles in the house. Big Marv. Shout out to you. Marvin is one of my newer agents on the team, and he is an all-star. I'd like to see you on here, buddy. We're going to be pounding that phone tomorrow. All right, so let's see here. So far, oh, holy shit, we've been on for an hour here. So far, what have we covered? We have covered the macro picture, which is lagging. We now know what the foreclosure auction site looks like. And I did not go, let's see here. Let me go back to... So my guess is there's somewhere between 30 and 45 properties up for auction on the 6th, somewhere between 23 and 27 on the 7th, somewhere between 18 and 18 on the 8th, and so on and so forth down the line. But those numbers in aggregate are significantly higher than anything that we've read or that we've seen so far in the state of Florida as it relates to homes that are in distress. And this is just January. Let's see what February yields. Come on, February. Oh, okay, here we go. So we're booked out. January's booked out. February's booked out. We got foreclosure auctions up the yin-yang, up the wazoo. March, booked out. Let's see what April looks like. We got foreclosure auctions in Palm Beach County booked out until May of 2025. And you can bet your sweet bippy that there's going to be many more of those calendar days that are going to be filled with far more homes that are up for auction. None of that is reflected so far in any of the numbers that we just talked about that are published by the Florida Realtor Association. So make sure you do your own due diligence. Make sure you understand what the actual market dynamics are, wherever it is you're thinking about buying or selling. And if you need help with that, please reach out. But now we are going to go granular because now I am in my wheelhouse. And I think that'll work. Let's see here. All right. Can you guys see? So I am going to start in Broward County. Actually, I'm not. I'm going to start in Dade County. And we are going to look. I'm going to go through this relatively quickly. I don't do a lot of business in Dade County. Dade is far from me. Now, I make exceptions depending on what the price point, product, and client's budget might be. But by and large, I typically do not want to go to Dade County. I would normally refer that out to someone that I know, like, and trust that is an expert in that market. But I do want to see what it looks like in real time in Miami Beach. And so everything I've shared so far was from November. It was lagging. Everything that we're looking at right now is real time. Okay, so Dade County, Miami Beach, single family homes. Let's see what happened in December. And hopefully you can see on the screen. Actually, I'm blocking the way. Let me get myself out of the way. Can I get myself even more out of the way? Yeah, there we go. I'm having fun with this new software program. All right, so let's see here. Miami Beach, what you can see is that in December, the average active price for a single family home went down 0.3%. The average sold price for a single family home went up 20%, 7.678 million versus 6.387 million. 20.2% in December is fucking crazy. So when I tell you that certain markets in Florida, South Florida in particular, remind me of Manhattan back in the day, or even some of the surrounding areas around New York, it's trading, and I expect it will trade very similarly to that. There simply is no land to develop. And the development that they're doing in Miami, which I'm going to put condos aside for a second because the condo market is a fucking complete disaster. There are lots of different, just like the housing market is a term that really doesn't make much sense unless you get hyper local. The condo market is even worse. So the condo market in Miami really can be as varied as building to building. And I mean, there's just so much volatility that exists within that market. As far as condos are concerned, it would blow your mind. In fact, I'll show you something here in a second, which will probably blow your socks off. But it's just unbelievable. Brand new building. I just saw this within the last week. One of the condo unit owners, the building is, I think, 14 years old, got hit with a $250,000 assessment. If he can't pay that within, I don't remember if it's 7, 10, or 30 days, then he's in real trouble. And he might be subject to losing that unit, which means if he can't pay that and others in the building can't pay that, well, then I suspect that just like the banks are taking homes, they'll be taking condo buildings and knocking them down, building new ones, and the market will continue to appreciate and price out most people from it forever. But this is Miami Beach, and month supply of inventory looks like, wow, that's a doozy. So month supply of inventory, November versus October, jumped 84%. And in December, it decreased by 26%. But 15 months of inventory is a significant buyer's market, period. And you can just see that chart. It indicates that as well. Lots of competition if you are selling in that market. All right, that's Dade County. Let me check the comments here. Anybody got any particular requests as far as cities are concerned? If you have them, let me know, and I'll try to address them. But all right, so that's Dade County. Let's see here. I did Miami Beach. Let's look at Sunny Isles Beach. And both of those markets are very pricey. What do we see? Sunny Isles Beach. Now, again, I'm not talking about condos. These are single family homes that I'm talking about only, residential single family homes. What you can see, average active price in December, 4.321 versus 3,957. But the average active price doesn't really mean much to me. It's really what is the average sold price. And the average sold price, holy smokes, up 231%. Do you remember when I talked about that? I suspect many of these markets are going to trade similar to Manhattan real estate back in the day. Well, I didn't have to wait long to make the case for that. The average sold price in December versus November jumped by 231%, 5.5 million versus 1.660. That is what you are paying for a single family home in Sunny Isles Beach. Ballpark figure. Obviously, Sunny Isles Beach has markets that exist within it, but ain't none of them cheap. Month supply of inventory jumped 345% November versus October, and then downticked 28.5% to 14 months from 19.6. Again, it's still a strong buyer's market, but I don't suspect that there are an endless supply of folks that are waving their checkbook around saying, I can't wait to cut a check for $5 million so I can buy a house in Sunny Isles Beach today. But I could be wrong. I don't know. And if that's you, please reach out because we would love to help. All right, so that's Dade County. We're going to go to Broward County. We're going to try to wrap this up because I've been talking for a while. Broward County, let's go. Broward. Let's look at Coral Springs. Coral Springs, great place to live. I can't say I grew up there, but I lived there for a period of time. And when I lived there, it was significantly nicer than what it is now. But at the time, it was the place to be. And as of today, it is still a nice place to live, but it's just a lot more crowded and a different experience. But what you can see is the average active price basically flat. Average sold price down 5% in December. So a dip from 721 to 684. No bueno if you're thinking about selling, and probably great news to your ears if you're thinking about buying. Let's look at the month supply of inventory, which tells me, actually, that chart done lied to me. That's because that chart doesn't seem to reflect the change that happened in December. Nonetheless, month supply of inventory in November versus October jumped 57%, which is a complete whammy. 5.2 months versus 3.3, dropped 17% in December to 4.4 months. So it is a slight buyer's market, more of a neutral market at this point, but to be clear, we're talking about a macro number. Coral Springs has many markets that exist within it. So these numbers are not going to be reflective of the neighborhood you're likely shopping in or thinking about selling in. This is a macro number. And if you want more detailed information, reach out to me and we'll get you up to speed right away. All right, so that's Coral Springs. Let's look at Fort Lauderdale. Again, single family homes. I don't want to talk about condos until I show you something here at the end, which will make you want to throw up. All right. Average sold price in Fort Lottie-Dottie, Fort Lickerdale. What you can see, the average sold price in December versus in November, up 21.5%, 1.412 versus 1.162. And you'll notice that the average active price is significantly higher. The reason for that is there are, again, this is a macro number, there are many waterfront communities in Fort Lauderdale that have ocean and intercoastal access that are extremely pricey, extremely rare, extremely scarce. And so it distorts the numbers as far as the averages are concerned. But just know that Fort Lauderdale has a wide variety of pricing and products. So you don't necessarily need $1.412 million to buy a home in Fort Lauderdale, but it is pricey. Month supply of, and I suspect that Fort Lauderdale is one of those markets similar to Miami that is going to be very similar to, in fact, I think they're making a big push to turn Fort Lauderdale and that area, even some of Miami, into the next version of Hollywood. I'll call it Hollywood South, without all the woke bullshit, but the freedom of Florida. It would not surprise me at all if Fort Lauderdale turns into a mega entertainment capital for the country. But all right, so we talked about pricing in Fort Lauderdale. We're now talking about month supply of inventory, and December, 8.5 months, up 7.6% from 7.9, and it is a buyer's market in Fort Lauderdale. Not many folks are, again, running around waving their checkbook around saying, I can't wait to stroke a check for $3.5 million to buy a home. But if you are, give me a shout, because I know Fort Lauderdale like the back of my hand. Okay, so that's Fort Lauderdale. From there, let's check out Parkland. Parkland is, so far every city that I've mentioned is a city that I used to live in. And when I first moved here from New Jersey, the first place I moved to was Fort Lauderdale. Then Coral Springs, then Parkland, then a bunch of other places too. But here we go. Average active price in Parkland is down 1.8%, December versus October. But the sold price, which is far more important, up 6%, 1.178 versus 1.112. So an uptick of 6% in December. And the reality is, I think we're going to continue to see single-digit growth in most markets, but there will be outliers within these metros, within these cities that are going to have double-digit appreciation, period. There is just too much variety of product and wealth in these cities that it would not at all surprise me if we don't continue to see a significant uptick in many of these cities, especially in these new developments that they're building out in West Boca and surrounding areas, right? All of these communities it's shocking to me because some of these communities that were built in Lake Worth, for example, when I mentioned I took my kids to go ice skating, I went down this road that used to be suboptimal. I I think I said there were 5 or 6, it might have been more, new communities that were being built. And again, this was an area that to me was just very sketchy, at least back in the day. There was not one community that I passed that wasn't starting for, I'm trying to think here. I didn't see one that started at under 1.5. And so to me, that's just unbelievable because these are not estate homes. These are not large parcels of land. These are going to be somewhat cookie cutter communities. They'll be resort style and have lots of amenities and be very nice. But it's just Florida is not what it used to be. And it is what it is. But to pay $1.5 million to live out in West Lake Worth, to me is just unbelievable. But nobody cares what I think. The market is always right, and it is what it is. I'm sure they're nice places to live. All right, so that is Parkland, and from there we are going to Palm Beach County, and we will wrap this up. Let me check and see if there's any comments. Ooh, nothing new that I can see. All right, so Palm Beach County, we are going to start in Boca Raton. We are looking at single family homes. And see, this is exactly what I meant by double-digit growth in many different places. So Boca Raton in December appreciated by 24.2%. 1.712 average sold price versus 1.378. But look at the delta between the average active and the average sold price, 3.330, up 7% versus 3.121. There is a massive disparity of pricing that exists in Boca Raton. And if you want to live on the water or in downtown Boca Raton, you are going to pay a significant premium to live that lifestyle. And I have officially switched from the Awala to the Staniel K Yacht Club Resort Cup. Because I'm on E, baby, which is why I'm drinking that coffee. All right. Iced coffee will always win the day. All right. So we talked about pricing in Boca Raton, and what we did not talk about is the supply side, month supply of inventory. And what you'll see is that the month supply of inventory in December dropped almost 25% from 7.3 months to 5.5, which tells me there is a little bit less competition in the market. So if you are looking to buy in Boca Raton is my wheelhouse. Delray Beach is my wheelhouse. Boynton Beach is my wheelhouse. Those 3 cities, as well as Lake Worth, Parkland, Coral Springs, and Wellington, that is the area that we specialize in. So if you need, did I include Delray Beach? I think I did. Yeah, but these are the cities that we really specialize in, that we are boots on the ground on. You might have noticed my partner, or excuse me, teammate Marvin on the in the comments section. But we are a full-time, full-service real estate team of professionals that work together to ensure we find your dream home, dream lifestyle, and 1000% ensure that ain't nobody overpaying on our watch. We will get you the best deal humanly possible if you're shopping for a home. If you're selling a home, we're going to create a market within a market. We are going to find the one buyer on planet Earth willing to pay more than anybody else, irrespective of market conditions. And if you need help with anything remotely close to buying, selling, investing, or whatever it might be anywhere, whether it's in my market or not, please reach out, because we have professionals we know, like, and trust, mortgage professionals, real estate professionals, whatever you might need. Reach out, we'll connect you, and we'll be happy to do so anywhere within the country. There's a link in the ad copy down below if you are interested in that. Also, there is a link to, and I got some heat from somebody for putting this in my videos. But a friend of mine is affiliated with a roofing company. And that wouldn't mean much to me normally. However, he saved one of my relatives who lives in a condo building, who they were having major issues with the roof. They were getting roof quotes. I mean, a massive building, massive square footage, all kinds of problems with the budget, with the board, with this, that, and the other thing. And the quotes they were getting were insane. But he came in, SPF Roofing. They got an incredible deal, a superior product. And if you or anyone you know needs any type of help with roofing, whether it's commercial, residential, industrial, whatever it might be, check them out. There's a link down below, and they will hook you up. And tell them that I sent you. I'm not getting paid for it or anything like that, but I have found they are extremely good. And when I find someone who is extremely good at what they do, then I want to let everybody know. And they serve the entire state of Florida. Okay, so that's Boca Raton. And now we're going to go to Boynton Beach, which is the city that I live in. And what do we got? So Boynton Beach is going to be a very good test study, because what you're going to find is that the macro numbers are very different with, what did I just do? So Boynton Beach is a large landmass, right? There is a wide variety of product that exists, from the ocean to the Everglades, and all types of different incomes that live within Boynton Beach, right? So that being said, you got to keep that in mind, because there are areas of Boynton Beach, there are areas of Lake Worth that I think are suboptimal. I would not want to live there. There are also areas within those same cities that are superior, that I would not only want to live there, I do live in one of them, and they're just insanely great places to live. So you must know where you're shopping and what you want, and we can definitively get you in the right direction very quickly. But I lost my train of thought here. Again, I pulled an all-nighter. I legitimately got no sleep last night. All right, Boynton Beach, average sold price up 14%, $677 versus $595. Now, that might be good, right? You're saying to yourself, well, I own a house in Boynton, and it's up 14%. That's great. And it is. But hold on, let me do month supply of inventory. Month supply of inventory down 20%. It was 6.4 months, it dropped to 5.1. So it is still a buyer's market, just not as strong as it once was in November. But Boynton Beach is great and all. However, the area in which I live is in West Boynton Beach, and it's newer. So anything that you're going to look at in Boynton Beach, Delray Beach, Lake Worth, Boca Raton, or really anywhere in Florida, anything that is coastal, you're going to pay a premium to live that coastal lifestyle, period. You will always pay a premium for that. You will also pay significantly more insurance because you're closer to the water. But if you're looking to live that lifestyle, you're probably not worried about the insurance cost or any of those things whatsoever. You want what you want, and you can probably get it. But certain areas of central Boynton Beach are a little bit older. They're a little bit dated. Some of them can feel less than. The same is true with Delray. The same is true with Lake Worth. The same is true pretty much everywhere, with the exception of Boca Raton, which is pretty much homogeneous and very nice everywhere, which is why the premiums are the way they are in that pricing. But West Boynton Beach is very different than really any other place in Boynton Beach. So I am going to highlight the West Boynton enclave of the Canyon community. So 33473, although there are two or three, and I could be getting my numbers wrong. There are a few active adult 55 plus luxury communities that are in this zip code. But in comparison of scale, the Canyons enclave is a lot bigger. It is not 55 plus, but they are GL communities, canyon trails, canyon lakes, canyon isles, canyon springs. I think I got them all, and the partridge and a pear tree. But they're zoned for the best school. You can ride your bike to the school. There is, there's a park, there's a library, there's everything you could possibly want. It's right next to the turnpike, so you can be in Miami or Orlando or Miami very quickly. If you have to commute to work, it's really easy to do so. But 10 years ago, West Boynton was kind of like a ghost town. And today it's very desirable. And it's one of, it reminds me a lot of, very similar to what Boca is like. So where was I going with this? I really am spaced. I'm showing you the numbers. That's what I'm doing. So 33473. Let's see what the pricing looks like, because there will be a wide disparity in pricing relative to the rest of Boynton Beach. And what do we see? November versus October. Average sold price got hit in the chins. Pow! Right in the kisser. I wish that Mike Tyson would have done that to Jake Paul, but he didn't. He bit his glove. Nonetheless, the average sold price was down 15.6%. November versus October, 971 versus 1.150. And in December, up 33.2%, jumped from 973 to almost 1.3 million, which I'm sure makes all the neighbors happy. And yet, there are still many homes that are listed within the Canyons communities that are radically overpriced. They've been sitting on the market unsold for a while. And sometimes getting people to understand that their home is only worth what a buyer will pay is a lot more challenging than you might think it would be. But the numbers are what they are, and the numbers don't lie. That being said, month supply of inventory down 16%. So we are at 4 months supply of inventory versus 4.8, which means this is, I guess you'd call it a slight seller's market, certainly not an intense seller's market. But even within 33473, although it is the West Boynton Canyons, although it is the canyon enclave of canyon trails, canyon isles, canyon springs, canyon lakes, there are some very nice active adult luxury 55 plus communities which distort the market dynamics too. So in order for me to be 100% granular with anybody when giving them information about wherever it is that they're thinking about buying. So if you were looking to buy a home, I would need to know what the home is, and then from there be able to get hyper granular, hyper local, and give you much more robust information than anything that we're seeing here, because this is still, even though it's relatively granular and it gives you a very instructive number of what the pricing is in West Boynton, these numbers can change. I mean, the markets that exist within the market can be as granular as street to street, depending on where you're at in certain neighborhoods, right? So the market can be a confusing topic if you think that all real estate markets are the same. They're not. They are hyper local, hyper niched, and the more granular that we can get, the better, because the more information you have, the more leverage we can create if you're thinking about buying or selling. But that is it for 33473. And we are getting close to the end here. How long have I been on? Sweet mother of Jesus, 100. Not 100. You know I'm spaced when I look at an hour and 28 minutes and say 128 minutes. All right. This just goes to show how committed I am in this new year to ensuring you have real-time actionable information so that you can make the best decisions for yourself, for your family, and for your financial bottom line. I feel it is my fiduciary responsibility to ensure you know the truth. All right, so we did Boca, we did Boynton. Did we do Delray? We did not. Let's do Delray Beach. Woo, look at that chart. All right, Delray Beach. Very nice place to live, very pricey place to live, depending on where you're at. If you're out east, very pricey. If you're out west, very pricey. If you're central, it could be a mixed bag. But pricing is down 24.3%. So 918 was the average sold price in December. And in November, it was 1.213. So I suspect if you bought a home in November at 1.213 and it's down 24.3%, you are probably not very happy. But not to worry, the market will continue to trade no matter what. And I suspect that the trend in Delray Beach will continue to uptick. And you'll notice that there has been, if you watched any of my live streams, I do these at least once a month at the end of the month so that you have the real-time information for that month. There has been a tremendous amount of volatility that I've been tracking. So it is not, I mean, you may have noticed it already, but there have been plenty of times where you see a month where it's down 24% and then the next, well, case in point. November versus October, there was a 16% gain, and then December versus November, a loss of 24.3%. That's some pretty wild volatility in a very short period of time. But volatility is the new normal, and homes are trading, period. And mortgage rates are continuing to skyrocket, and all the other things that are happening too. So there's going to be volatility that is in the market, and you should be prepared for that. But if you ever need help with anything, please reach out, because we will, well, I can't fix volatility, but I can remove the stress and the fear of the unknown, because there's no situation that we have not expertly navigated for our clients, period. All right, so Delray Beach, let's do Lake Worth. Lake Worth, which is the area I was talking about where all of that new construction is starting to be developed. And what you see, average sold price up 3%. December, 651 versus 634. You can see as we go up north and out west a little bit, the pricing changes a little bit, but also keep in mind that there is a small delta between the average sold and the average active. There are markets within West Lake Worth that trade significantly higher than this. This is a macro number. So just know, no matter where you're shopping, there is very likely going to be a difference from what you see here. This is macro, you want micro, you want hyper local, and we're always happy to help you with that information if it's something you want. Month supply of inventory down 4.3%, 4.4 months versus 4.6. So the trend is on the downtick, and it was even more so in November versus October. So supply seems to be shrinking in Lake Worth, but what does the future hold? I don't know. We shall see. I did Lake Worth. What about Wellington? I know you wants to know about Wellington, the equestrian capital of the world, in December. Let's look at Wellington and pricing. So again, big delta in Wellington. There are communities out in Wellington which are equestrian, where you can have a horse farm. There are certain communities within Wellington where they have their own private airport within the community. There are some very wealthy folks that live out in Wellington. So the average active price up almost 3%, 2.962 versus 2.882. And average sold price upticked almost 44%. Again, this demonstrates the volatility that I was sharing before. If you noticed, November versus October, it was down 12%, 828 versus 938. And then 1 month later, an uptick of 44%. So volatility is the new norm. Volatility season is here, and homes will continue to trade no matter what. So keep in mind, it is always a good market for someone. It just depends what it is, which side of the market it is that you're looking to be on. But no matter what, we can help you with whatever it is you need. And now I am going to see if I can share. Okay, so we've talked about the foreclosures, the distressed market. Banks are taking houses. Are they? Yes or no? Are they being auctioned? Are they being sold off to institutions? All of these things are eventually going to become realities at some point in the future. I'm not going to go into a doom and gloom thing here about the black swan events that could happen. We all know that we are in volatile, very unique times, but the condo market and so let's bring this back to the topic, right? So banks are taking houses, right? You don't pay your mortgage. You can't carry the note. The bank will foreclose on you and you will lose your home, right? Right. Well, if you live in and an HOA can do the same thing too. I've done some videos about that. You could get hit with an assessment for whatever it might be. As use a real-time example, if a hurricane or a tornado came through your neighborhood and blew the roofs and off some homes and destroyed the landscaping and destroyed the amenities and wreaked havoc in your neighborhood, chances are you would be getting hit with an assessment. And if you can't pay that assessment, well, they would very likely try to work a deal with you for a while. But if at some point you could not pay that assessment, you would be forced to sell at some point because the HOA has the right to do so because you've signed their HOA documents. And most of the documents that you would sign for an HOA give them that right to do so. Now, that doesn't get as much press as what's happening in the condo market because the condo market has just been a complete disaster in Florida. And this might be the worst one that I've seen. Let me see if I can share this. All right. And hopefully it doesn't play a commercial on me.
Some South Florida condo owners are being hit with...
I'm Ultima Morgan. Every time one of my children started driving, it was terrifying.
Nobody cares.
Six-figure assessments that are forcing them to flee.
The situation is leaving many unable...
Florida condo owners are being hit with six-figure assessments that are forcing them to flee.
Six-figure condo assessments forcing them to leave. This is unbelievable. So you're on a fixed income, you bought a condo, you're living your retirement dream, you are escaping winter forever, you have worked your whole life, you're finally in your beachfront condo, and everything is good. Life is a bowl of cherries. And then one day you get hit with a six-figure assessment. That's not good.
Situation is leaving many unable to sell or afford the staggering cost. Local 10 News investigator Jeff Weinsteer has the numbers.
Sleepless nights?
Sleepless nights? Every night. I don't know where we're going to live or how we're going to live.
Howard Konitz never thought he'd be in this situation at 79 years old.
We can't afford it. We can't afford it. We're going to go broke.
Konitz and his wife Sheila have lived in their 2-bedroom, 2-bath Williams Island condo for 10 years. The retired couple had their financial future all planned out.
Elevator modernization.
That was until they were recently hit with a special assessment.
Special assessment. You've probably heard a lot about special assessments. These buildings must be up to code, and they must pass their 40-year certificate and of their structural integrity. And if they don't, they're going to get hit with these structural assessments. What's insane to me about this particular story is this building, I believe, is only 15 years old. So how they came up with, it looks like $175,000. They'll go more into it here. But can you imagine? I mean, my heart goes out to this guy. Seems like a very nice guy. He's laughing about it, but you're on a fixed income. You're living in this, I don't know if you saw the marina of this building. It looked unbelievable. What an incredible place to retire to. And you think you're living the good life. You think you've got enough money to live the rest of your life. You've planned your life. You've been prudent. You've been responsible. You've been disciplined. You did all the right things. And then some asshole condo board hits you with a $200,000 fucking bill. Are you kidding me? I'd want to fucking kill somebody. I apologize. I'm obviously a little bit sleep deprived here, but if this was one of my family members, if this was my dad, I'd probably be at the condo board right now trying to figure this out in a very different type of way.
Assessment for the apartment we're sitting in is what?
Approximately
$224,000. That the assessment, I believe, is more than what he paid for it 15 years ago. This makes me sick.
$4,000.
When you say that number, can you believe it?
No, not at all.
That's on top of their monthly maintenance that's gone from $1,500 to $3,000.
We never.
Hold the phone. I know this is a nice building. I know this is a nice area. I know this is a luxury resort style community. $1,500 for a monthly HOA fee or condo fee is insane, but you can see the security, you can see the landscaping, you can see that they require funds to run this building the right way and keep it up to looking the way it's supposed to look. And so you're on a fixed income. You've done well for yourself. It's pretty clear that he's had some money and done well for himself in life, but you're able to do the $1,500 monthly assessment. That doubles to $3,000. How many people is that going to force out of their condo? Well, I don't know. But let's pretend he can do that because he invested in Bitcoin or he invested in whatever he invested in, and he's been very prudent and done well with his investing. Okay, cool. Well, you can afford that. Then you get hit with a $227,000 special assessment. I must learn more.
Never anticipated to have this escalation.
According to Condo Doc's assessments in Mediterranean Village in Williams Island, where Konitz lives, are as high as $400,000 for just one apartment. Projects budgeted for his building include everything.
Did I just hear that right? There are certain unit holders that got hit with the $400,000 special assessment.
From consultants to roofing, concrete restoration, elevator modernization, termite treatment, and $700,000 alone for landscaping.
Well, I can tell you this from experience. I was on a in my the first home I lived in, I got on the HOA, and I did that specifically because I had a dog, which I knew was not allowed in the community based on the documents that I signed. But I also knew that if I was part of the board, that I could get away with it and they would not be able to make me get rid of the dog. But that's how I gamed the system. Nonetheless, I was the treasurer for the HOA, and I did that for about a month. So I did it for a month, I wanted to quit within 3 to 7 hours of actually getting assigned the position. I've never received more emails, more hate mail, more phone calls, more complete bullshit, insanity from people who have nothing better to do than to completely create chaos about nothing. It is a thankless, miserable, horrible job, and you don't get paid for it. So it was, at least in my case, it was a volunteer position. So I got myself out of that position as quickly as I possibly could. But I share this because one of the reasons why I got on was the previous board completely cooked the books, completely scammed everyone. They had inside jobs with each and every one of these service providers, and it was just a complete fraud. And so, anyhow, I moved out of there and didn't stay very long. I also didn't know any of that was going on when I originally purchased the property. But landscaping for $600,000 seems pretty pricey, and I don't know what their roof quote was. Roofing looks like it's $2.4 million. Hey, Mediterranean Village Condo, you should reach out to my boys at SPF Roofing, because I guarantee you they will get you a better quote than that, and also give you a much more superior roof, period. But nobody cares.
Somebody also told me, well, if you're not able to pay, you shouldn't be living here.
The assessments at Williams Island can't be passed on to a potential buyer. Konitz has had his condo on the market and has dropped the price several times. He was turned down for a reverse mortgage by a lender due to strict condo rules.
Maybe I can.
Yeah, you're right. You can't sell it. Who's going to buy a $500,000 condo when they realize that there's a $277,000 special assessment that they're going to have to pay too? Nobody. Now, it looks like that building is likely filled with residents who have a lot of money. And this guy clearly is in a bad spot. But if you look at the boats in the harbor, I suspect there's a lot of folks there who are quite well-to-do. So they may be able to bridge the gap and fund whatever needs to be funded. This guy's going to be in trouble, but I don't suspect that this particular property or this particular condo would be at risk of failure. But there will be buildings, there will be condos where they cannot pay for the structural reinforcement or the special assessments or whatever needs to be done to fortify the building. There will be lots of buildings up and down the state that are subject to essentially being sold for pennies on the dollar to an investor. And the bank will take the building, or the government will take the building. They will not allow for that to happen. So I suspect there is going to be lots of volatility in the condo market up and down the coast, but I don't suspect it's likely going to be in a community or in a building like his. He said it himself. I think one of the residents said to him that, well, if you can't pay for it, don't live here. Yeah, that's that's something I would expect that somebody in Boca might say too. Boca is the only municipality that I'm aware of that is completely in front of all of these changes. They fortified and got up to code, I don't know, probably 5 years prior to it needing to be done, but it's an affluent market. People have money, and it's not really a big deal for them. But if you've got money, you've got money. It's when you don't have money that you're in trouble. And that's my real concern right now. There are lots of people right now who are living on the fringe. They are living on the bubble. They aren't taking a good hard look at where they're really at financially. And I suspect those folks who aren't truly honest with themselves as to where they're at financially, I think there's going to be a lot of people who do get squeezed. So it won't surprise me if at some point we do see banks taking over homes, but it's not what I want. And if you find yourself in that position, also know there are steps that you can take to stop a foreclosure or do a short sale or stay in the property for a heck of a lot longer than you would probably be able to do on your own. So there are lots of things that can be done to insulate and protect you for a while if you're in financial trouble, but don't wait you never want to wait until you're at the courthouse steps. You never want to wait until you're at the auction. There are many things that can be done proactively, which are very likely going to lead to you being in a much better financial position than it would be if you got foreclosed on. There are usually deals that can be done, investors who will step in and make a deal happen, which obviously is not going to be what it would be if you put it on the market and had a metric shit ton of equity and had lots of leverage and lots of money. But there's very likely a bailout that allows you to move on to the next chapter of your life. And if you ever need help with any of that, please reach out, because of course we would always love to help.
Give it away for pennies on the dollar.
He is not alone. This listing at the Cricket Club in North Miami discloses a $134,000 assessment. A new Florida law enacted after the 2021 collapse of the Champlain Towers in Surfside mandates increased building inspections and reserve funding for condo buildings. The rules come with a hefty price tag for owners of older buildings.
Have you ever seen numbers like this?
No.
Susie Friedel has been a realtor for 50 years. She's a mediator for the Miami Board of Realtors and the Florida Supreme Court.
What is the assessment on the apartment that you have for sale?
Just about $290,000. There needs to be assessments. The problem is they've done too much at one time. The boards have gotten so nervous about all this that now they're doing.
There needs to be assessments, my ass. What a good condo board should do is have financial literacy and be forward thinking and also proactive, so they don't hit somebody with a lump sum insane assessment that most people are not going to be able to pay. I don't know anything about this board, so I don't want to talk out my ass, but I have found by and large many of these condo boards, they don't shop around, they don't negotiate, they don't take the job seriously the way a corporate executive might, but they need to, because these assessments and the brass tacks is every one of these buildings is going to have to be up to code, period. It's state law. But there was more than enough time for all of these boards to communicate at a high level and provide other solutions that are probably significantly less expensive than these six-figure assessments these people are talking about. I mean, the roofing quotes that I've heard, and that's why I keep talking about my buddy with SPF Roofing, are insane, absolutely freaking insane. And so anyway, I'm not big on giving out referrals or anything like that as it relates to contractors. But if you need a quote for a roof anywhere, please reach out to them, because they are world-class and far more affordable than anything on that freaking budget.
Doing everything at once.
There is no comment on camera from the association. In a brief phone conversation, association president Mike Siegel said, quote, "We wouldn't be doing it if we didn't have to."
We wouldn't be doing it if we didn't have to. Well, that seems like a good enough spot for me to jump off for now. So that's it. I did have to. It's January 1st. I hope you appreciated the video, and I remain committed to sharing the truth in real time so that you have the most actionable, accurate information to be able to go out there and make the best decisions for yourself, for your family, and for your financial bottom line, no matter where you are. And if we can ever help you with anything, please reach out. We would love to help. And until next time, peace. Happy New Year.